What if I told you that the men who made all of Europe tremble were not born in palaces, not trained in grand armies, not raised in rich kingdoms? They were forged by ice. Before they burned monasteries, before they shattered kingdoms, before they reached North America 5 centuries before Columbus. They were just men trying to survive a land that wanted them dead. The snow falls silent over Scandinavia. Not the gentle flurries of storybooks, but the heavy, merciless snow that buries dreams and erases roads. This is Norway with its fjords cutting deep into the mountains like wounds that never heal. This is Sweden with its dense forests where wolves hunt in packs larger than any army. This is Denmark with its flat lands and cold seas. The year is 750 AD. And the men who live here do not farm because farming is a joke played by the gods on those who hope. They fight. They fight the land itself because the soil is scarce and rocky. They fight the sea because it gives fish but takes ships. They fight each other because when winter lasts 9 months and food lasts only 3, your neighbor's grain becomes your only hope for spring. In the longhouses made of timber and turf, families huddle around central fires that burn day and night. The smoke escapes through holes in the roof, but the cold never truly leaves. It seeps through the walls. It creeps under the animal skins they sleep on. Children are born into this world not with cries of joy but with screams of shock at the cold that greets them. The weak do not see spring. This is not cruelty. This is fact. The old who cannot work walk into the snow to die so the young might eat. The infants who cannot feed are left exposed because a mother with no milk cannot watch her baby starve slowly when the frost can do it quickly. These children grow up watching their fathers sharpen axes by firelight. They learn that the axe is not for war. The axe is for wood. The axe is for meat. The axe is for the man who comes in the night to take what little you have. The axe is the only thing that stands between them and the void. By the time they are 12, they can row a ship through stormy seas. By the time they are 15, they have seen a man die. By the time they are 18, they have killed one themselves. This is not because they are monsters. This is because in Scandinavia, mercy is a luxury the land cannot afford. These are the Norse. These are the Northmen. These are the Vikings. But the world does not know them yet. The world prays in monasteries and builds cities on rivers and thinks the edge of the earth is where the maps stop. They do not know that beyond the maps, beyond the cold, beyond the storms, men are watching. Men who have nothing. Men who want everything. Men who are coming. When the fires burn low and the wind screams outside the longhouse walls, the elders speak of the gods. They speak of Odin, the All-Father, who hung himself on Yggdrasil, the world tree, for 9 nights, pierced by his own spear, staring into the void until the runes revealed themselves. They speak of how he traded his eye for wisdom at Mimir's well, because he understood that seeing everything means nothing if you understand nothing. They speak of his 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, who fly across the world each dawn and return each dusk to whisper everything they have seen into his ears. They speak of Valhalla, the golden hall in Asgard where the roof is made of shields and the rafters are spears. They speak of the warriors who die in battle, chosen by the Valkyries, carried across the rainbow bridge to feast forever, to fight each day and heal each night, to wait for Ragnarok when they will march beside their gods against the giants. But the god they fear most is Thor. Not because Thor is cruel. Thor is the protector. Thor is the one who rides across the sky in his chariot pulled by goats, throwing lightning at the world. But they fear because his hammer, Mjolnir, is the only thing that keeps the giants at bay. And the giants are real. The giants are the frost that kills the crops. The giants are the avalanche that buries the village. The giants are the storm that sinks the ships. The giants are the chaos that waits beyond the firelight, patient and hungry. If Thor ever fails, if his arm ever tires, the giants will come and the world will end in fire and ice. To die in bed is shameful because a bed death means you are not worthy of Valhalla. It means you will go to hell, the realm of the dead, where the sky is gray and the food is tasteless and nothing ever changes. To die with a weapon in hand is glory because it means you were chosen. It means the Valkyries saw you. It means Odin knows your name. The Norsemen do not ask the gods for long lives. Long lives are for farmers in the south who have never felt true cold. They ask for strong arms to swing the axe one more time. They ask for a place in the story so that when they are gone, their children's children will speak their names by the fire. In the shipyards along the fjords, the sound of iron on wood rings through the valleys from dawn until the light fails. The shipbuilders work without blueprints because blueprints are for men who need to see before they believe. They work without rulers because rulers are for men who do not trust their hands. They feel the wood. They listen to the oak. They run their palms along the grain, and they know where to cut because the tree tells them. The great oaks are felled with axes that have been passed down for generations. The logs are split with wedges. The planks are shaped with adzes until they are thin enough to bend. They build fires in pits. They heat water until it boils. They pour the water over the wood, and the wood screams and softens and bends. They shape the hulls not like boxes but like fish, like snakes, like the sea creatures that glide beneath the waves. The longships are not boats. They are living things. The dragon heads carved into the prows are not decorations. They are meant to frighten the spirits of the land, the wights who guard the shores, so the ships can pass unseen. But they frighten men too. When those dragon heads appear through the mist, men forget how to fight. They forget how to run. They forget how to breathe. These ships can sail in shallow rivers where no raiding party has ever gone. They can land on any beach without docks or harbors. They need no ports. They need no permission. They need only wind and oars and men who do not fear drowning. A longship carries 60 men, 60 axes, 60 shields, 60 hearts hungry for what the south hoards behind stone walls and wooden gates. The ships are light enough to carry over land between rivers. They are strong enough to cross the open ocean. There is nothing like them in the world. There has never been anything like them in the world. And in 793 AD, those ships find their target. The monks of Lindisfarne are praying. They do not hear the oars. They do not see the dragons until the dragons are already on the sand. Lindisfarne, a holy island off the coast of Northumbria in the Kingdom of England. The monks who live here have dedicated their lives to God. They have never seen a Norseman. They have heard rumors of pagans in the north, wild men who worship trees and thunder, but rumors are just wind. The world is safe because God protects the faithful. The world is safe because the Roman Empire fell long ago and nothing has risen to take its place. The world is safe because the sea is a barrier and the church is a fortress and prayer is armor. January 8th. The morning is cold but clear. The monks gather for prayers. Brother Ethelred is in the scriptorium, copying a psalm onto vellum with a goose feather pen. His hand is steady. The words are beautiful. He hears something beneath the wind. A rhythm. A pulse. He looks up from his work. Through the window, he sees the sea. The sea is flat and gray. And the sea is crawling with dragons. Not one ship. Not two. A fleet. The dragon heads stare at the island with painted eyes. The oars rise and fall together like the legs of 1,000 insects. By the time the warning bell rings, the longships are already on the sand. The monks run toward the church because the church is the only safe place they know. They grab the relics. They grab the gold. They slam the heavy wooden doors and drop the bar into place. They pray. They pray harder than they have ever prayed. They hear the sounds outside. The sounds of feet on stone. The sounds of axes on wood. The sounds of their brothers being pulled from the gardens and the kitchens. The church doors burst open. The axes rise and fall. Blood pools on the holy stones where generations of monks have knelt in prayer. The raiders take the gold. They take the chalices and crosses and gospel books encrusted with jewels. They tear the pages for the precious metals on the covers. But they take something else too. They take the monks themselves. The young ones. The strong ones. They drag them to the ships, chains around their necks, to be sold in markets where Christ has never been spoken and no bell has ever rung. When the raiders leave, the island burns. The library burns with its centuries of knowledge. The church burns with its carved altars. The bodies burn on the pyres the raiders built before they left. The smoke rises to heaven, black and thick, and for the first time, Europe understands that the North has awakened. Letters are written. Kings are warned. Prayers are added to the liturgies. God, deliver us from the fury of the Northmen. But the prayers change nothing. The Northmen are already on the sea, and they have tasted blood. Lindisfarne is just the first cut. 450 years after that morning, the raids continue like a fever that will not break. Every spring, the longships slide into the water. Every summer, the coasts burn. Coastal villages empty when the sails appear on the horizon. Monasteries build walls so high the monks can barely see the sky. Kings post watches on the cliffs. But the Vikings do not come to the same places twice. They learn the rivers. They learn the tides. They learn which monasteries have gold and which have only prayers. But in 865 AD, everything changes. The raids stop being raids. They become invasion. The Great Heathen Army lands in East Anglia. Not 2 ships. Not 10. Hundreds. The chroniclers say the army was so large it took days to land. The ships stretch across the horizon like a floating city. Ivar the Boneless leads them. Halfdan leads them. Ub leads them. They are the sons of Ragnar Lothbrok, the greatest Viking who ever lived, come to avenge their father's death in a pit of snakes in Northumbria. Ivar the Boneless cannot walk. They carry him on a shield. But his mind is sharper than any sword. He does not fight like other men. He fights like a spider. He weaves webs. He lets the English kings destroy each other while he waits. The Anglo-Saxon kingdoms fall one by one. Northumbria falls first because they killed his father. They execute their own king and give Ivar his blood eagle. They cut the ribs from his spine and pull his lungs out to dry on his shoulders like wings. This is what the sagas say. This is what the monks write in terror. East Anglia falls. Their king, Edmund, refuses to renounce Christ. They tie him to a tree and shoot him full of arrows until he looks like a hedgehog. Mercia falls. Their king runs. Only Wessex holds. King Alfred, the only king the English will call great, burns cakes in a swamp while he hides from the Viking armies that hunt him. He watches from the reeds as his kingdom burns. He waits. He plans. He does not die. But the Vikings do not just destroy. They are not locusts. They are settlers. They bring their families. They bring their laws. They bring their gods. They marry English women. They plant wheat where their fathers planted terror. York becomes Jorvik, a Viking city with streets and markets and law. The old Roman walls still stand, but inside them, the language is Norse. The coins are Norse. The kings are Norse. England is no longer English. England is Danelaw. In Ireland, the Vikings find no kings. They find only chieftains fighting each other over cows and insults. The Irish fight naked sometimes, screaming challenges across rivers. The Vikings watch and learn. They do not fight naked. They wear mail if they have it. They wear thick wool if they do not. They do not scream challenges. They wait for the right moment and then they strike. The Norse build Dublin on the River Liffey. Not a camp. A city. With walls and docks and markets. Dublin becomes the greatest slave market in Europe. Men, women, children, all sold for silver weighed on scales. The Irish sell their enemies to the Vikings. The Vikings sell them to the Arabs in Spain. The Arabs sell them to the Franks. A girl captured in County Cork might die in a harem in Cordoba. A boy taken in Meath might grow up a eunuch in a palace in Baghdad. The slave chains stretch across the world and Dublin is the center. But in France, the Vikings meet something different. The rivers are their highways. They sail up the Seine past villages that empty before them. They reach Paris. Paris sits on an island in the river with walls on every side. The Vikings surround it. They build camps. They wait. They attack. The Parisians pour hot oil from the walls. The Vikings burn their dead and attack again. The siege lasts months. The king of the Franks pays them to leave. 7,000 pounds of silver. The Vikings count it, weigh it, and sail away. But they come back next year. And the year after. And the year after that. The Frankish kings learn that paying the Vikings only brings more Vikings. The word spreads along the coasts. Easy silver in France. Come quickly before it runs out. But one Viking accepts a different offer. His name is Rollo. And he wants more than silver. He wants land. Rollo is too big for his horse. The Frankish chroniclers laugh when they see him. They write that no horse can carry him, so he must walk everywhere like a common peasant. But they do not laugh when he lifts his axe. They do not laugh when his men surround their villages. They do not laugh when the bodies pile up outside their walls. In 911 AD, King Charles the Simple of the Franks makes a deal. He is called simple not because he is stupid, but because he is honest. He looks at his kingdom. He looks at the Vikings who will not stop coming. He makes a choice. He gives Rollo the land around the mouth of the Seine. The land is flat and green and good for farming. It will become Normandy, the land of the Northmen. In return, Rollo must stop the raids. He must protect the Seine from other Vikings. He must convert to Christianity. He must kneel and kiss the king's foot. The ceremony takes place in a field outside the city. The king sits on his throne. The nobles stand in their finest clothes. Rollo approaches with his warriors behind him. He stops in front of the king. He does not kneel. He stares at the king's foot. He stares at the king. He turns to his men and speaks in Norse. One of his warriors, a giant with red hair, steps forward. He grabs the king's foot and lifts it toward Rollo's lips. He lifts too high. The king tips backward. His crown falls. He lands in the mud with his robes tangled around his legs. The Franks are horrified. This is sacrilege. This is insult. This is the end of dignity. The Vikings laugh. They laugh so hard some of them fall down. They laugh until they cry. They laugh because they have never understood why Franks care so much about shoes and feet and kneeling. But the deal stands. Rollo becomes the first Duke of Normandy. He marries a Frankish woman. He is baptized in the church. His descendants will forget their Norse tongue. They will build castles and cathedrals and speak French like proper nobles. They will become more Frankish than the Franks. And one of them, a bastard named William, will look across the channel at England. He will remember that his ancestors came from the sea. He will build ships. And in 1066, he will return to England not to raid but to conquer. Not as a Viking but as a king. While Rollo builds his dukedom in France, other Vikings sail west across the open ocean. They have no maps. They have no compass. They have only the sun and the stars and the flight of birds. They find Iceland. Empty. Green in the short summer. Steaming with geothermal heat in the winter. No people. No kings. No taxes. Just land waiting to be claimed. The settlers come in waves. Norwegians fleeing the tyranny of their new king. Irish slaves brought by their masters. Swedes looking for room to breathe. They build farms in the valleys. They build the Althing, the first parliament in Europe, where free men gather each summer to make laws and settle disputes. No king tells them what to do. No army enforces the rules. Only words. Only agreement. Only the understanding that without law, there is chaos. In the long winters when the sun barely rises and the snow piles against the doors, they tell stories. They sit by the fire and remember. They carve runes into wood and stone. They recite poems that have been passed down for generations. They speak of the old heroes, the great kings, the warriors who crossed oceans and found new worlds. These stories become the sagas. Without the sagas, we would not know their names. Without the sagas, we would not know that Eric the Red killed a man and had to leave. Without the sagas, we would not know that his son Leif sailed further than any European had ever sailed. But some are not satisfied with Iceland. Iceland is good, but it is cold. Iceland is free, but it is poor. To the west, there is more. The old sailors speak of land seen on the horizon during storms. They speak of mountains beyond the sea. They speak of Bjarni Herjolfsson, who saw it first but did not land because he was in a hurry to reach his father. The sons of Iceland look west and they wonder. And one of them, Eric the Red, decides to find out. Eric the Red kills a man. This is not unusual. Men are killed in Iceland all the time. But this man's family demands blood price. They demand payment. Eric cannot pay. The law says he must leave. 3 years of exile. 3 years away from his farm, his family, his life. He could go back to Norway, but Norway is full of his enemies. He could go to Ireland, but the Irish hate Vikings now. He chooses the only direction left. He sails west into the unknown. He follows the old stories. He follows the memory of Bjarne's sighting. For days he sees nothing but water. Then ice. Then more water. Then land. But not green land. Not friendly land. The coast is mountains and glaciers and rocks. He sails south along the coast looking for something better. He finds fjords like Norway. He finds valleys with grass. He finds rivers full of salmon. He spends his 3 years exploring this new land. He names it Greenland. Not because it is green. It is mostly ice. He names it Greenland because men will not come to a place called Iceland's twin. They will not sail to a place called White Land or Rocky Coast. But Greenland? Greenland sounds like opportunity. Greenland sounds like hope. The trick works. When Erik returns to Iceland, he tells everyone about the green valleys, the good land, the empty spaces waiting for settlers. Thousands follow. They build 2 settlements on the coast with hundreds of farms and churches and even a monastery. They live on the edge of the world. They trade walrus ivory for iron and wood. They look west across the Davis Strait and they wonder what lies beyond. Leif Erikson, Erik's son, buys a ship. He is curious. He has heard the stories. He has heard Bjarne's tale of land beyond Greenland. He gathers a crew of 35 men and sails west. They find a barren land first, flat stones and glaciers. Leif names it Helgeland, land of flat stones. They sail south. They find a forested land with white beaches. Leif names it Markland, land of forests. They sail further south. They find a place where salmon fill the rivers, where wild grapes grow on vines, where the days are longer and the winters are softer than anything they have known. Leif calls it Vinland. Wineland. America. They build houses. They stay for the winter. The days are mild. The fishing is good. They explore the coast and find more forests, more rivers, more empty land. They meet the natives. The Skraelings, they call them. Ugly little men with dark skin and strange weapons. The trade at first. The natives want red cloth. The Norse want furs. But the trade turns to fear and fear turns to violence. A native is killed. More natives come. The fighting starts. The natives have numbers. The Norse have steel. But the natives have something else too. They have the land. They know it. They move through it like ghosts. The Norse are outnumbered and far from home. They leave. The camp's empty. The grass grows over the hearths. The sagas will remember Vinland for generations, but no one will go back. For 500 years, Europe will not know this land exists. For 500 years, the stories will fade into myth. But the Vikings walked there first. They built houses there first. They looked at the forests and rivers and knew that beyond the sea, beyond the ice, beyond the known world, there was something waiting. They just could not hold it. Back in England, the raids have become conquest. By 1016, a Danish king rules all of England. His name is Cnut. He is the son of Sweyn Forkbeard who conquered before him. He is young, but he is ruthless. He fights the English king Edmund Ironside until they agree to split the kingdom. Then Edmund dies conveniently. Murder, the chroniclers whisper. And Cnut rules alone. Cnut is not a raider. He is an emperor. He rules England from London, but his eyes are on the north. He goes home to Denmark and takes that crown. He conquers Norway and takes that crown too. He controls the North Sea. He controls the trade routes. He controls the armies. The North Sea Empire stretches from Dublin to the Baltic. No Viking has ever ruled so much. Cnut marries Emma of Normandy. She is a widow of the old English royal house. The marriage unites the conquerors and the conquered. He builds churches. He pays his armies with silver from his mints, not plunder from raids. He goes on pilgrimage to Rome. He writes letters to his people promising justice and peace. The old Vikings shake their heads. This is not how things should be. Kings should be warriors, not politicians. Kings should lead raids, not pilgrimages. Legend says he commanded the tide to stop. He had his throne carried to the shore and ordered the waves not to wet his feet. The waves kept coming. They soaked his boots. They soaked his robes. He turned to his court and said, "Let all men know how empty and worthless is the power of kings. For no one is worthy of the name king but God alone." He proved his point. He showed his humility. But some say the story is wrong. Some say he did it to show his courtiers that even a king cannot command the sea. Some say he was just tired of their flattery. But even Cnut cannot stop time. His sons fight over the scraps of his empire. Harthacnut dies young. Harald Harefoot dies young. The line ends. The North Sea Empire crumbles into pieces. The north grows cold again. The old ways return. And in Norway, a new king waits for his moment. In Norway, a new king rises. Harald Sigurdsson. They call him Harald Hardrada. Hard ruler. Hard counsel. He is young when he fights at the Battle of Stiklestad beside his half-brother Olaf, the Saint King. Olaf dies in that battle. Harald escapes. He flees east to Russia. He finds his way to Constantinople. He becomes a captain in the Varangian Guard, the emperor's personal bodyguard made of Vikings. He fights in the Mediterranean. He fights in Sicily. He fights in Bulgaria. He fights in the Holy Land. He loots palaces and accumulates gold. When he returns to Norway, he is rich and famous and feared. He takes the crown. He fights Denmark for years. He fights his own nobles. He crushes everyone who stands against him. He is the last of the old breed. He believes in glory. He believes in gold. He believes in Valhalla. He writes poetry about his battles. He composes verses about his wealth. He is a warrior king in an age that wants administrators. In September 1066, he sails for England. He claims the crown. His nephew, the King of Denmark, should have claims, but Harald does not wait. He assembles the largest fleet Norway has ever seen. 300 ships. Thousands of men. He lands at York. He wins the first battle at Fulford Gate. The northern lords surrender. The city opens its gates. Harald celebrates. The sun is warm. The beer flows. The army rests. But the English king, Harold Godwin's son, is not in London where he should be. He has marched north. 300 miles in 4 days. His army moves faster than anyone thought possible. He catches the Vikings at Stamford Bridge. They are not ready. Their armor is on the ships. Their guard is down. The English appear over the ridge and the Vikings scramble for their weapons. September 25, 1066. Stamford Bridge. The Vikings are on the east side of the River Derwent. The English appear on the west side. The bridge is narrow. One Viking holds it alone. The sagas say he was huge. The chronicles say he killed 40 Englishmen before they finally brought him down. An English soldier floats under the bridge in a barrel and spears him from below through the gaps in the planks. The Viking falls. The English cross. The battle lasts hours. The Vikings form a shield wall, but they are outnumbered and tired. Harald Hardrada fights in the front. He goes berserk. He swings his axe two-handed and men fall before him like wheat before the scythe. But an arrow finds him. It goes through his throat. He falls. The king is dead. The Viking army breaks. They run for the ships, but the ships are too far. The English cavalry runs them down. Of 300 ships that sailed from Norway, 24 return. The survivors bring nothing but grief. The Viking Age dies at Stamford Bridge. Not in a great battle against the pagans. Not in a final stand of the old religion. Just a king caught without his armor on a warm September day. 19 days later, William of Normandy lands in the south. Harold Godwin's son marches to meet him. Harold dies at Hastings. William takes the crown. The Normans rule England now. And the Normans are just Vikings who learn to speak French and build in stone. The blood continues. The ships are gone. The raids are memory. But the story does not end. The real Viking legacy was not written in blood on monastery walls. It was written in law in the Danelaw. It was written in words in the Icelandic sagas. It was written in stone in the cathedrals of Normandy. It was written in bloodlines from Dublin to Kiev to Constantinople. The Vikings did not disappear. They became us. They became the English and the French and the Russians. They became the sailors who crossed oceans and the traders who connected worlds. They became the kings who ruled and the farmers who worked the land they once burned. The dragon ships are gone. The gods are silent. Valhalla waits empty for warriors who no longer come. But every time a ship leaves harbor for unknown waters, every time a man looks west and wonders what lies beyond, every time a story